Hey guys, so I'm sick and tired of seeing all of us waste our time on the terminal. So in this video, I'm going to give away all of my secrets, so to say, all of my hotkeys and little optimizations and tricks that I use every day on the terminal, and hopefully we will be able to save some time, be more productive, stuff like that. So yeah, I hope you find this useful, and let's get into the first one. Let's start with some aliases. I rarely use the plain ls command. For me, the output is pretty hard to read and it's not showing everything I want. Instead, there is a set of ls flags that I use almost all the time, and I don't want to type this entire command every time, so this is where aliases come to rescue. So what this means is when I type L, the command in single quotes will execute instead. To load this new configuration, we must source the .bashrc, which will execute all of the commands within it, including the new alias command. Now, if I just press L and enter, I will see my desired ls output. I want to show you another cool alias that many people use. Let's open up .bashrc again and create an alias that will substitute ... for cd ... Again, we need to source the bashrc in order for the new alias to be in effect, but instead of typing ~bashrc again, we can just type $, $! Which is a word designator for the last argument of the previous command, which of course is the path to bashrc. Now that the ... alias is sourced, let's try it out. Let's first change directory to, let's say, work, and I don't have to know what's inside it. I can just press tab a couple of times to reveal the contents of that directory, and I'll go to my project. Again, I don't have to type out the entire directory name. I can just type my and then press tab for bash to complete the name for me. I use tab completion all the time, of course. So now we're in home work my project and we want to go up. We can just type ... and that will bring us to the parent directory. I want to repeat that command once more, so I can just press up and enter to execute it again. Okay, let me clear the screen and show you some more useful aliases. So we want to add another alias to our bashrc file. We can search through command history using Ctrl+R, and if I type vi, it will show me the last command that contained those characters. Once we found the command we want, we can just press enter, and it's easy as that. The alias I want to add is called dev, and I use that alias to jump to the directory that contains the project that I'm currently developing. Again, let's source the RC and let's use the dev alias to jump to my project directory. Now, let's say I forgot to do something in my home directory. I can just type cd- to jump to the previous directory I was in, which was of course the home directory. I can use cd- again to toggle back to my project directory. So home, my project. The dash argument can also be used to toggle between Git branches. Conveniently, my project is a Git repository and we can see that we're on the develop branch. We can check out master, and if we want to go back to develop, we can use the dash argument. Running the same command again will toggle us back to master, and if we run it once more, we're back on develop. So, just as cd- toggles the current directory and the previous one, git checkout - toggles between the current branch and the previous active branch. Let me know in the comments if you know more use cases for a dash. Also, consider subscribing to the channel for more videos like this. Okay, for bonus round, I'll show you some more useful Git aliases. These are just some that many people use, but feel free to experiment and come up with your own, of course. Let's again source the RC file, but this time instead of $, I'll use $_. They're functionally the same in this example, but I'll show you their differences in a second. Now that our aliases are sourced, let's try one out. For example, GB for git branch, and yeah, it looks good. Aliases can save you tons of time, especially if you're a slow typist. Keep in mind that you can also use bash functions that you can also call from your terminal, but I don't use functions that often, and that's why they're not in this video. Now let me show you the difference between bang dollar and $_. If we try to make a directory and cd into it using bang dollar, it's not going to work. That is because bang dollar looks at the last argument of the previous command in history, and this line is treated as a single command in history. As we can see, the directory test was created, but we didn't move into it. Now, the same command will do what we want if we use $_, because $_ is set to the final argument of the previously executed command, regardless of history records. If you want more details, I left a couple of useful links in the video description, and while you're there, let me know how you like this video so far. Let's remove these test directories and go back to home, and for that we can just use cd. If you give no arguments to cd, it will change back to the home directory implicitly. Let's clear the screen as well, and on Linux you don't have to type clean every time, you can just press Ctrl+L. That's it. I want to talk some more about directory navigation, and some of the commands that I often use are pushd and popd. Let me show you how they work. If I say pushd and put in work/myproject, it will push that path to the directory stack. Let me push another directory, for example, home.vim, and issuing dirs.p will show us the directory stack line by line. To unwind, we can just say popd, and that will bring us back to my project, and popd again will bring us back to home. We can now see that our directory stack is empty. Pushd and popd are awesome when cd- is not enough. Once again, let's hit Ctrl+L to clear the screen. Now I will show you a couple more event and word designators. The most used event designator is probably the bang bang, the $! So for example, I want to print the etc shadow file for some reason, maybe to screenshot it for a bug bounty or something. And I forgot that doing that requires superuser privileges. No problem, I can just type sudo bang bang, and the two exclamation marks will be replaced by the entire previous command. Let's now jump into the dev directory and create 4 files using touch. I'll type them out one by one here. Now let's say that we want to change permissions on all of these files. We can simply say chmod 777 bang star. Bang star is a word designator that designates all of the words from the previous command except for the first one, which was the command name itself, touch. If we list this directory now, we can see that the proper permissions are set. Let's get rid of these files by typing rm file star, which will carry out file name expansion and remove all the files whose name starts with file. This is also known as globbing in UNIX, and it's super useful when using bash. Now I'll show you how we could have created those files way easier by using something called brace expansion. If we say touch file and put 1.4 in curly braces, the shell will expand to file 1, file 2, file 3, file 4, as we can see here. Let's again get rid of these files, but I want to stop here to warn you that removing files by using the star wildcard character and other globbing mechanisms is pretty dangerous. Mistakes can be made and you could expand to file names that you didn't intend to, potentially causing irreversible damage. So to make sure we're removing the right files, I'll cancel this command using Ctrl+C and list the files that we want to delete instead. This confirms to me that these are the files that I want to remove, and then I can just run rm bang $. This is a good practice to keep in mind. Let me now show you some directory tricks. We can use mkdir-p to create a nested directory structure. As you can see, this created dir1 and subdir1 inside it with a single command. Let's get rid of these and see how brace expansion can help us create more complicated directory structures. First off, I'll echo out dir1 to 3 and subdir1 to 3 to see what directories I'll be creating. I'm doing it this way to show you that it's useful to test what the brace expansions produce before using them to create stuff. I'm pleased with the output, so we can continue and create all of these directories. As we can see, we created a nice directory structure here using just a single command. Okay, again, let's get rid of these, and first I'll list them out just to be sure that I'm deleting the correct ones, and then we can perform rm-rf on the expansion. As we can see, it worked as expected. The directories are gone. Now let's create some files, for example, client, server, and test.js. They will all have the same extension. Again, I'm using echo to sanity check this expansion. Looks good. Let's touch those, and we can see that they're here. Another way we can quickly create a file is by using an empty file redirect. Beware that this will truncate the existing file if it's there, so use this with caution. Also, brace expansion doesn't work after the redirect operator. Okay, let's clean up now, remove all the files with .js extension, verify that they're gone, and go back to home and clear the screen. Another super useful thing I want to show you is how you can navigate the current command line. I'll go to my downloads directory, and here I have a .rar file that I want to unpack. And if I try to unrar this file, it will not work since I forgot to give it the X option, which stands for extract. This actually happens to me a lot. So to quickly jump between the command and the file name, we can just use a couple of navigation shortcuts. First, I press Ctrl-A to jump to the beginning of the line, and then Alt-F to jump to the end of the word, and here I can add the missing option. I don't really like these default Emacs style shortcuts because I'm actually used to using Vim. Luckily enough, we can ask bash to use vi style commands by typing set-o vi. Now we can use vi commands to edit long commands, which is a lifesaver for me. I find the default shortcuts really hard to memorize and use. So let's bring up the previous command and jump to the whitespace character. I can just escape to normal mode, jump to the whitespace character, and insert the missing X option. So yeah, that's it. No more wasting time navigating long commands. I also want this behavior to be the default, so I'll add the set option vi to my bash rc. Let's go back to home and clear the screen using Ctrl-L. And as you can see, this doesn't work anymore. Ctrl-L works in the Emacs editing mode, but not in the VI mode. I don't really care for that, since I use an alias for clearing the screen anyways. The alias is compatible both with Linux and Mac. So let's open the bash rc for the last time in this video and make C expand to clear. After sourcing the RC, I can just type C enter and the screen is cleared. Easy as that. There's a couple more things I want to show you before we end the video. One is a word designator that targets all words except the last one. For example, if you're on a Debian system like I am here, you will run sudo apt update and sudo apt upgrade a lot. Let's run sudo apt update, and after it finishes, we can use bang bang dash to target everything in the previous command except the very last word, and we can replace it with upgrade. There are many great use cases for this word designator, so it's a good one to keep in mind. And the very last thing I want to show here deals with copying text to the clipboard. So a lot of times I want to copy, for example, my public SSH key to the clipboard, and the classic way to do that on Linux is by using xclip. Now that the public key is copied, I can paste it wherever. I never really liked this command, and I prefer the pbcopy command that can be found on macOS. That's why I use a couple of aliases that look like this. They basically simulate the behavior of pbcopy and pbpaste commands on Linux, which makes me not have to think about what system I'm currently working on. Now we can pipe the public key to pbcopy, and it will be copied to the clipboard, and we can also use pbpaste to paste the contents from the clipboard. Let's clear the screen once more and wrap up. One quick last thing that I want to show you is actually exiting the terminal, not by using the exit command, but by pressing Ctrl D, which is a bit faster, and you can do it with one hand. Whew, that was a lot of things thrown at you, and if you're a beginner, it might be a bit overwhelming. That's completely fine. If you're confused, you can always go back and watch the video again. If you're not a beginner, I hope you found some new ways to speed up your terminal usage and increase productivity and stuff like that. And here are the most important bits and pieces that I've shown in this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Leave a comment, subscribe, like, share, all that good stuff, and until next time.